We now have a few minutes left over for questions. Yes, you please raise your hand. If you have more than one question, try to hold them up and try to get to everyone. And also please specify if your question is for an individual panelist or panelist. Start.
So can I make an announcement with the question?
You can save it to the end.
All right. But I wanted to ask the panelists what they think. I find that in many of the countries right now in the world, they are leading the way doing what we're talking about as far as building social movements, especially in Latin America, some countries in Africa and others. We see that there's not this false separation or dichotomy between either we talk about we need to change the whole system or we fight things that we need to change for people right now. And in this country, you do find that division. You find the groups that will try to say we need a revolution now, but have very little relevance for the most part, with some notable exceptions to people's day-to-day struggles. And you have the groups that are fighting for individual issues, but will never take the time to talk about that system. So I would ask the panelists, what does it take to have the kind of movements that we're seeing, working, building, and actually in some cases taking on state power, or at least engaging with that in Latin America, for example, that are saying, yes, we want a whole society, we want an end to this war, we want an end to this military budget, and we want a road, we want a trauma center, we want a, et cetera, et cetera. So what do you all see as ways of breaking that our established economies?
Realizing that no one organization can do any of this stuff. And that's really the biggest thing, is that we have these organizations and different groups of people coming together and working on it, whether it's one issue or the big system. They can't do it on their own because there's too many things to do at one time. If you're taking on the whole system, there's a lot of aspects to taking on a whole system and trying to do that. Whether it's the healthcare system or if you're looking at government systems, things like that. You've got a group of maybe a few thousand people, if we're being generous with the numbers. That's not enough. You have to be able to pull other people in and help them to see how that benefits them as well, and getting together as a cohesive unit rather than having everybody working on separate things and doing that stuff. My organization works on initiatives toward ending poverty, and that's one of the things that I do, is try to pull in other organizations that are working on aspects of ending poverty, tutor and mentor programs and drug counseling and all these different aspects, because no one organization can do all those things. You have to be working as a unit toward one goal. So that's where I see what's happening.
I think, I think you need some strategy in the sense that you have to understand what fundamental congregation is about. Well, real vulnerability to what I'm now. And that involves some analysis. I think that a lot of somehow broad analysis is discredited because it's discredited to go left. A universal plan, well, didn't work. Now we just stick to immediate concern, but we know what we experience directly, not worry about these things that are outside our direct experience. And that's just wrong. I think that you have to have a strategy which involves the whole system. And then when you choose to work on an issue, an area, which is part of you analyze it as a real fundamental vulnerabilities. So you choose your political activity to fit into analysis. You can, for example, to me, a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to revise election. Good people try very hard over hundreds of years to do this. By and large, most of the time it's a waste of time. Now, sometimes it works. Civil rights movement, they focused on the code discrimination, intimidation, the denial of vote to African Americans, and that was a crucial fundamental contradiction in our society, and that around that developed an enormously powerful movement. But they analyzed that as a fundamental contradiction. It wasn't simply we need to elect, more people from board elections, more people who have college education, stuff like that. I mean, we do have to do that too. But the real function of analysis, I think the system is really vulnerable, and which the system is very relevant, which we work on developing mass following around. So that's what it takes. And I think that too many of the local organizations get involved and they have a kind of first mentality with their own issue, something we can think about. And they don't put it into a picture. And that's why, somehow the Linsky style of organizing tends to peer out.
The goal is a beloved community. Not as a pie in the sky dream, not as some of the same hymns, something called the kingdom of God. Uncle Marx called it the classless society. The old Christian revolutions called it the second coming. But it all means the same thing, a world where human beings take care of each other because it is good to do so. Now that's a moral transformation that must receive that, but there's an interaction between the social institutions on one side and the change of heart that takes place on the other side. Therefore, there has to be an organizational structure. Either a church universal, a real church universal that contains everybody, atheists, humanists, everybody else. A union universal, that is a union that contains everybody who works for a living, no matter where they are, in this single union worldwide, or a single party, like the old Communist International that I grew up under, with people like Paul Robeson, Du Bois, and folks like that. In the meantime, you need a system that will encompass what she's doing, what he's doing, what I'm doing, what he's doing, that will make every little bit of thing that we're doing count. The modest writing of the letter is seen as a value, because it is teaching you something about getting out your butt and doing something with a piece of paper. Taking part in a march. All of these are various, like many, many ways that train us in preparation for the time when we can act as a coordinated body. And either they give us what we need or we push them aside. Like the slaveholders were pushed aside and all the compromising, all the begging, all the constitutional amendments and Supreme Court decisions. Abraham Lincoln said it's 1863, forget it! I'm emancipating the slave in the story. And it would be too bad you guys had your chance, and we refer to that go back. The South will never be the same again. We try to recreate it, but it'll never be the same. So that's the energy that has to be coordinated within a single party, single union, or single church. Something singular that has multiple tactics. But because everybody's aiming for the same goal, the beloved community, then all the tactics make some sense. Like the lion striving to create consciousness out of the muck and mire of primordial slime. It's my evolutionary matter.
Next question. Yes.
Mine is more a comment to reinforce how difficult it is to bring change. Immanuel Kant was writing about the same time that America was being born in the 1790s, a little essay called Perpetual Peace. He observed that great nations could not afford to have standing armies, so they created international finance structures where they could borrow money to postpone their demise. So this has been going on for 200 years and has been observed by astute people. In today's international finance system, I have a sort of a simple mind. We buy a lot of oil from Saudi Arabia, and we buy a lot of everything from China. And those places have extra dollars sitting around. And what are they going to do with their extra dollars? They're going to buy U.S. government debt, which finances our military and our wars. So right now we have business leaders in Saudi Arabia and China that are colluding with the American system and saying, this looks stable, we can earn some money off of this. So we have this long historical development, we have a huge international system that is bringing on kind of allies or partners, and it's not going to change very easily or quickly. In fact, I keep looking for those points of leverage, which you folks are too. What are the points of leverage for changing the momentum of this 200-year system that has its own kind of stability and its own kind of equilibrium? So I'm searching with you, and I'm glad this panel kind of re-stimulates some of my thinking.